Patty. I didn't even realize that my video the other day started with me coughing, so I really have to apologize because right here on YouTube it says you're live, but then the screen is still kind of dark and it's always questionable. So, hi and welcome back. Um, I got to shake the nerves, so you got to bear with me. What I wanted to do and say first, especially today, was that I know I post these videos. Look, my braid is totally falling out. It happens every time. Um, I promote these videos on the Memory of Prince websites and things like that. So, and I know that I come here and I say that he's our creator and DNA and God and things like that. And people probably still wonder how that can be. So I'm doing my very, very best to explain that, my very best. For the naysayers who think I'm dreaming or freaking out about my life after life experience or whatever and just mishmashing my experiences, well, they're mistaken. Know thyself. So I'm here to tell a very true story, as hard as it is and heavy as it is and hurtful and joyful and all that. But I thought instead of coughing that I might start out today's video, which might be kind of long, and you also might want to have a pen and paper, jot some things down, or you can just rewind. But I I wanted to say this, that long before I knew that I would ever be doing anything like this and coming on whatever channel, YouTube live, otherwise, in a person's face and saying, hey, did you know that the one the world knows as Prince Rogers Nelson is like our God, our DNA creator, manipulator, etc., and that the Bible has been missold? You know, people are like, whoa, hold your horses. But once you listen to the whole story, you'll get it. Anyway, long before I had that experience, I was still seeking all things godly to make a better family for myself and my family. And this letter that I want to open with, I wrote in 8 of 2013. So what is my point? I come here and spill my guts and teach you and show you how much I looked for God, like before I knew I was going to be saying the situation is what it is. So my love for the Creator and knowing that my soul had a purpose long before my soul knew that it was going to be stating these things as its purpose, was still looking for the truth. And so these are the types of things I would write whilst looking for that truth. So 8 of 2013, which will come to be pretty interesting with the numbers I share with you later on, says, wow, God Almighty, you are amazing. Over these last years, especially this last year, you have made me fall in love with you. There is no one for me except you. It is the only way to experience your full attention, and that is to give my full attention. Thank you. You've given me so much wisdom and faith that you are. No matter what you are or who you are. I know I can't comprehend you, but I love you, and I want to follow your rules, which are good and just for my life. I thank you for waking me from my stupor in 94 and planting your seed in my life. I'm grateful for the meditation time. Getting even a blink's worth of your love, light, and energy is worth more than anything material in this physical world, I think it says. Thank you for allowing me to see manifestations of your love. I'm grateful for the chance to not only walk the narrow road, but to make the righteous decisions along the way. Bless you for making a woman who truly longs to receive in order to accept what you give freely for the purpose of sharing. No one wants to hear me, though. They think I'm crazy. I know I'm enlightened to your love. I will not make choices that remove your beautiful grace from my life. It makes me nervous, sorry. You could tell I'm probably blushing. Thank you for making things transparent, for showing me what is good and not good for my life. I had to skip a little personal part. The only love there is the only love we make. We make love, not war. And then I went on to write this. I'm going to share this real quick. I didn't know this was here, but it says, Our Creator is one of mystery. When he created the universe by thinking, speaking, these were like thoughts that I was writing to myself. Our Creator is one of mystery. When he created the universe by thinking, speaking, the energy, the thoughts, the I am life force that is, was, and always will be, his ways will be made known mysteriously. But wisdom gives insight into the energy that was created. The energy for us to be able to read and contemplate the indescribable force of expanded consciousness of his own consciousness onto ours. You have to rewind. You didn't get it. Even when people deny and say the truth is stated, translating, the beginning never changes. Does the Creator need to expand all of energy forth again, like a rebirth? The coming of the Lord God will be an explosion in itself, I wrote. And then I wrote volcanoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, things about World War I, creating patriotism, funneling money. And then I wrote, for a purpose we were created, for a purpose we should live. I wanted to share that. Thank you for listening. I was going to make this the header on the video, all that stuff that you see back there. I'm going to describe that to you. If you've watched any of the other videos, you know that I'm always coming here and talking about the number 21, how it affects Prince. I'm just going to say Prince. I don't like doing it, but because there's a different reason for that. But for the sake of getting through the video, I'm going to use the name Prince. The Prince investigation. The number 21, the pi equals 314 equation and all that stuff, if you've seen the other videos. So I know that looks like a lot back there. So what I did is I took the time to expand on it even more so that I might relate it to you in an easier way. I don't know how many people that come here to watch these videos like have any kind of biblical, foundation, or how many that don't. But don't worry if you don't, because you can just put the pieces together. So these are the notes I took, and it will make sense if you listen to the whole video. I wanted to start with Genesis 2:21. Hashem God cast a deep sleep on the man, and he slept. And he took one of his sides, and he filled flesh in its place. My nose itches, sorry. I'm really sorry. That's so unladylike. Can't help it when you're doing a live video. My point about the Genesis 2:21 is it relates to 21, and it also relates to the fact that he said man put the man to sleep. And what I've found is that the Bible is very technical, and when it wants to say a word, it says a word, and when it doesn't say a word, it doesn't say a word. And I'm not saying that everything I'm saying is like saying what I've noticed. That he never said that he woke up. So I got to feeling the 221 related to the number 21 and some other things. And so the fact that, you have HAARP and chemtrails and people walking around with chemicals in their brain, and, people are sleeping in that kind of sense, separated from the Garden of Eden, psychologically, intellectually, like that, and not so much in a, physical sense. So anyway, 221. And then I took the notes. I have to do it this way, you guys. Otherwise, I'm dreaming when I wrote this. So, we are in the year 21, and everything I have been trying to teach has been aimed at trying to explain to you guys how the number 21 is significant to Prince. In the famous song, Money Don't Matter Tonight, he says one more card, and it's 22. I've explained the significance of that in other videos. It's very multi-layered, so you have to have patience. You really do. It's very key. And I'm going to show you some pictures too. I want you to look at something, if you would, please. Now, what that says is 21 is, and now if you turn 21 upside down, it becomes like the pi symbol. I have to shorten that a little bit. So you see that going this way, it becomes like the pi symbol, but it also reads as like a 17. So 21 is like a 17 days. The Prince song is what I was relating it to. So 21, 17. It's also, this is the pi, symbol. Pi equals, it also relates to magpie, where the statement magpie comes from, as well as magnum pi. You see all these things that I'm sharing with you guys. I'm going to try not to go too far astray like that, but I feel like sometimes when I give you explanations as to how deeply rooted this language manipulation is and why we have the language things that we have, you'll see what I mean. So anyway, 21 is 3 times 7, right? Now, this is the Aleph in the Hebrew alphabet. When you break that down, there's a 7 going this way, a 7 going that way, and a 7 going that way. So what we end up with is 3 times 7, which is also 21, which is in the Aleph, which is the Alpha and Omega that the English Bible teaches. I gotta scratch my nose. It's so dusty down here. Sorry. No humility, none, when you're trying to teach the world. Anyway, so I need you guys to see that. Now, in Hebrew writing, the name David is numerically, it's Dalet Vav Dalet, and it appears like this. And these are crudely written, obviously. These two are the same, Dalet Vav Dalet. Okay, that spells David. Now, on the top of this one is like a little hooky thing that kind of resembles a 6. Okay, so what that relates to is 1776 in the Declaration of Independence, because when you read it one way, it states 1776, which also equals 21. Okay. And when you do it the other way, it equals 1777, which is one more card and it's 22. Okay. So they're using the name of King David for the 21 as well as the Aleph. Okay. Now, why is that relevant, you might ask, if you don't know the Bible a little bit? And it's okay. The lineage in Genesis 4:24, Lamech says this. He says, if Cain was cursed at 7 generations, then Lamech at 77. So if we in America here in 1776 were sold the Declaration of Independence and it equals 21, and the name of King David equals 1777, and the generational curse is 7 times 77, well, you can see what's starting to happen here, right? There's a lot of gematria that goes along with this, so you see the numbers and all the things around. I don't have time to explain each and every one, nor am I taking questions today because it's too deep. I just need to talk. So I think I have the comments turned off. So sorry if you came here to talk. So that's why the 777 is relevant. Okay. Is that 424 lineage. You guys, why you might ask, is there a plan to declare war on the lineage of King David? Well, that's because the powers that be want to be the powers in the world. They want to own. NWO, own, same thing. Power, greed, money, you guessed it. And also sex, because the Bible absolutely takes away the power of the strong I am woman. And if you told the whole story, which I'm going to, well, then you couldn't sell sex on Pornhub and stuff like that. But I'll get there. So declaring war on the DNA, because that's why all the killings and all the things that happened in yesteryear, is to get rid of a certain lineage, so that they cannot prosper and tell these truths that I'm telling. Well, too bad. The fact of the matter is, I mentioned before, the book of Enoch was taken out biblically, especially the book of Enoch, chapter 6. Where in verse 1 it says, it came to pass when the sons of men had increased, that in those days there were born to them daughters, fair and beautiful daughters. Verse 2, and the angels, the sons of heaven. Okay, notice the first verse. I'm truly sorry about that. The first verse talks about the sons of men who had daughters, and then the second verse talks about the sons of heaven saw them and desired them. And they said to one another, the angels of heaven said to one another, the sons of heaven, pardon me, come, let us choose for ourselves wives from the children of men, and let us beget for ourselves children. So what they did, those sky people, they wanted children for themselves, and they took the women, they raped them. They didn't say let us give them children, to born children to them. They said beget, because there's a difference between bearing and begetting. But anyway, 200 of them in verse 3 came down, 200 of them from Mount Hermon, and they swore and bound one another with curses. Now, you guys, when I say that they swore and bound one another with curses, they came down, they made all these plans, they raped the women, they had sex with them through these stargates and portals, and then, so that nobody would tell on anybody, they swore and bound one another with curses. Their words, Book of Enoch, chapter 6, not mine. Okay. And so that's why the Book of Enoch was taken out, because they can't be telling on themselves this way. So you're going to take it out, because why tell on yourself? Because then again, you can't sell the sex and the whole big Adam Eve lie and biting up the apple and the whole ridiculousness of that whole thing. So, the Book of Enoch was taken out and translated into the Bible that we were sold, and they take that verbiage and put it in Genesis 6, 1 through 4, where they take what I just said, the sons of men and the sons of heaven. And Genesis 6, 1 through 4, it says the sons of God took beautiful daughters and took wives. They saw the beautiful daughters and took wives. It doesn't say that anything about sky angels and races and begetting children. It says they took wives. They just left the rest out. Why? You tell me. Also, it's interesting to note, when you take that information that I just shared with you in Genesis 6, 1, 4, and you turn it upside down, because we do the mirror writing that I talk about in all the videos, and you look at 614 upside down, it becomes pi, P-I-E, okay? P-I-E, if you shorten that, okay? It also becomes the word opioid, O-P-O-I-O-D, upside down. Interesting to note. It also becomes 1914, which is when World War I was. And lo and behold, 419 is when they announced that there wasn't going to be any charges filed in the Prince investigation. So those numerics are all built in for a reason. And I'm going to keep going. I know it's pretty cool, right? Now, if they told us the truth, then they would have to expose themselves. And since they bound themselves with what they did is they used alchemy, you guys. It's just, it's chemistry, it's alchemy, it's changing the way your mind thinks based on, I don't know what, because, but it's true. And so since they can't tell on themselves, they'd like to lay the blame elsewhere, wouldn't you think? Where are you going to put the blame? Well, let's just throw it in Eve's lap. Why don't we? Let's call her a whore. Anyway, that's, where what I call, instead of the word religion, I like to say real legions, because, besides binding those curses, with alchemy, people call it witchcraft, King David was an alchemist, Abraham was an alchemist, they're all that. So people like, oh, you shouldn't do with witches and sorcerers and this and that. Well, that's because they don't want you to know what they know. That's all. It's really not that tricky. It's tricky. Anyway, then there wouldn't be any control of society that way, you guys, without selling this God who comes off like a harsh alcoholic drunken father who doesn't know if he wants good things in life or bad. That's just the way. It's just meant to distract, conquer, and divide and separate us from one race down. Race. Think about that that show that's on FX, the one where they tell all the horror stories or whatever it is. Right now, if you're flipping through Hulu or whatever and you see the true horror, whatever. It's like an alien's tongue going down a person's throat and this and that. And in the world right now, there's this big kick about isn't there aliens, artificial intelligence, this, that, the other. There's a reason for that, and that's because they knew there was since the beginning. And if they told the truth about that aspect, that our creator himself is what I like to call a sky person, AI, then there's no lie to sell us at the end of time. There's no lie to sell. There's what are you going to control people with? I went on here and took some notes about the Anunnaki and Marduk. Marduk, he lays with women in the Stargate in the Ascension Tower of Babylon, stuff like that. You guys research that. It's where the harems and concubines and all the extra wives came from. In olden times, they weren't any better than I use condom. Dumb. Con being the prefix, dumb being the suffix. It's all about sex. Dumb, con. I know. Too bad women are smarter than they think. Anyway, if you research all that, Marduk and Enki and Enlil and the Anunnaki and the Sky People, Paul Wallace on The Fifth Kind on YouTube, he does some really informative programs. You'll see that there's always been DNA manipulation, and part of the reason the Bible has been sold the way that it's been sold is so that people will just wait twiddling their thumbs for the rescue from the one dude and not look within themselves where the power really lies. The help is at the end of your arm. So here I am. I'm at the end of your arm too, over here on the other side of the TV. There has been an agenda. I took some notes based on a lot of the programs and things that I watch. I don't just come up with all of this stuff. Some of you might have heard of the Draconian agenda, the mining of planets, intellectual slavery, like I was mentioning. If you think I'm crazy, go and do your research into some of the pathologists and things like that work deeply undercover. They'll tell you about aliens, mutated subjects that are part alien, part animal, part whatever, and they're growing brains in labs and hearts in labs, and it goes a very long way. And if they told us about all these things in the beginning, then they wouldn't be able to use the Trojan horse analogy to like pull the wool over our eyes. And when they say pull the wool over, it's the sacrifice of the lamb, right? Pull the wool over. Everything has like a meaning and a thing behind it. And I said way back in some other videos a long time ago, it goes really deep. You have to suspend your own ego because it's a trip. It just is. So, after they changed, killed, stole, destroyed the Bible, manipulated it, translated it, took out the Book of Enoch, the Masons Templar, 33rd degree, all that stuff. The Bible that they set up, I have a bunch of notes on it, but it's set up like a military. It's set up like a military triangle, top down, and that also infiltrates down into our governments. And in that way, it all comes from that control from the religion aspect. And that's how they do it. So that's one of the reasons that they use that symbology with the ruler, because they like to consider themselves teachers. Some students learn faster than others. Anyway, this I wanted to get at, you guys. The whole 911 that you see up there, 9111, 1999, that whole thing. In Genesis 8:13, and it came to pass in the 601st year, the first month, the first of the month, the waters dried up from the earth. They removed the ark, the covering from the ark. Something like that. I didn't write it down verbatim. Anyway, 8:13. Remember that because it's relevant. Because that too equals 21. Imagine that. So my point is about that, you guys. The 601st year, the first month, the first of the month. You have many different things here, but I'm going to try to keep it 6 is a 9 upside down, and then 111. So go across is a 6, 111. This 9 relates to a 9. This one relates to a 10. And this one relates to 11, which spells 21. Okay, we've already gone through that. Okay, 1 second. What it is it's 9 plus 1 is 10. Okay, that's how you get the 10. So you have the 9 is 9, and the 9 plus 1 is 10. And then the 11 is right there. And that's part of how they get blackjack or 21. Okay, and it also, when you put it upside down, it also spells the word victor in gematria, which is the sacrifice of victor. So stay with me, it'll come together. Interestingly enough, you guys, not only does Revelations 8:13 equal 21, and they talk about those years and those dates in if I said Revelations, I'm sorry. Sometimes I know I misspeak because I go fast. I meant Genesis 8:13 and then Revelations 13:18. 13:18 talks about the number of 666. They call it the number of the beast. Interesting to note, again, we have the same numbers as in Genesis 8:13 and Revelations 13:18. And 18 plus 3 is also 21. Okay. There's a lot of different ways that the mathematics break down. Like I go so far as to show like 18 times 3, is 54, and 54 broke down as 9, and then of course 9 is 333. So the gematria carries all the way through, but I can't get that deep into it because then I lose my train of thought. So Revelations 13:18 equals 21 as well. Plus 1, if you're wondering, would be one more card, and it's 22. And they talk about the mark of the beast, which is the 666. Okay. And that equals 18. Okay. And then 13, if the number 13 is such a bad luck number when there's no such thing as luck, that's another Prince lyric, you see, because it all goes together. And he tells me these things, you got to follow along. Okay. Also, you guys, it gets pretty trippy here. Up here, I don't know if you can see it. This part, see, it says Genesis 8:3 and then Revelations. The next line says Minnie, MINNIE, 13.83. Now, what that is the Minnesota state statute that states that the manner and cause of death have to be stated. That's their state stipulation, Minnesota state statute. Coincidentally, right, is 13.83 the same digits we're talking about, right? I know. So again, if you're telling yourself it's a coincidence, it's not. Now, also interesting to know, under the word Minnie, MINNIE in the blue, right underneath it in the red, I know you can't see it, but I have out the word spelled Minneapolis or Minneapolis, because Prince, Minneapolis, it's how it goes together. Now, because that statute states that the death certificate has to state the manner and cause of death. That's what that stipulation is. Wow, my brain just totally fell out. If that isn't embarrassing, I don't know what is. Interesting to note for you Prince peeps is that the address of the so-called place where they did the so-called autopsy is 14341 Ramsey. 14341 is pi equals 314. It's also 9:43, the time of the 911 call. I could go on. Ramesses is also the name of Pharaoh's son, biblically. Pharaoh is very close to Phaedra, caught with the red hand. Color of the Pharaoh's hand. Anyway, all of these things are encoded in such a way. Oh, it's really neat too, you guys, and I'll show you a close-up. Let me see if I can find it, because you know the song, la, 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 he, I'm going to braid my hair while I talk for bed pull out. Um, what that is when you turn those things upside down in mirror writing. I don't know if you guys can see that. Hopefully you can. Um, what it spells is if you take 666 in Hebrew is Vav, 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 V-A-V, V-A-V, V-A-V. Okay. And if you turn that upside down, then it starts to spell 666 numerically with the A's that would be the sixes. And it also gives us like the mountains, the song It's Only Mountains. And then it also spells out what I have written down there as Haleakale'a, which is the volcano, the supposed dormant volcano in Maui that I went to. But I won't get too deep into that right now, but it does spell that out. And the reason why that's relevant is because you see that swirly 6-9 there at the bottom. What that is it's equivalent to 666 because it's not just a 6 and a 9, but upside down and back and forth. It's also 3 sixes, the way that they entwine together. So the whole 6-9, I think I lost my rubber band. The old joke, the sex joke, 69, all that stuff, it all comes back to the EA, the 69 or the 666. Well, how about that? Just gonna roll with it. Here, I have it up close. I'll show you. One moment. I have it right here. Okay. So, Hebrew, Vav, Vav, Vav is 666. Think about the song A Little Bit Faster Than You Did in 67. A little bit faster than you did 66. Twist those sister, go to heaven. Those lyrics right here, because in the way that the alphabet breaks down, you have the 6 and the 7 next to each other. When you go this way, it's 1777, but when you go the opposite way, it's 1776. So that's where the twist little sister go to heaven thing comes from. Now, when you move on down to the next row, what you guys can see is this here and this here and this here. Those are the Hebrew letters. But what it spells out is the name Victor, Victor. Now you might be like, what the heck? But it does when you hold it back. It also, suit and tie. This represents like the suit and tie. It's why the men in black wear suit and tie. There's like stuff hidden in here. And he tells me these things, and I know it's a trip, but they're all in there. It's the sacrifice of Victor, you guys. So Vav, Vav, Vav would be 666. But if you turned it around, it would look like 1999, which is, what he's teaching us. Also, with the 601, the 61st day, it gives us the 369 equation that everybody likes to call the God code and stuff like that. Because not only have I given you many facts thus far, I want you to know this, in case you haven't seen any of the other videos. 1776, we were sold as the Declaration of Independence, as I just explained. 1914 was when World War I was started. If you add the two of them together, guess what you get? Did I add them or subtract them? I'm sorry. Subtract. 138 years, which is also the Genesis 8:13, etc. You know what I'm saying? It goes with it. Also, don't forget 419 upside down. They announced no charges in the Prince murder. Now, also 21. The reverse of 21 upside down and backwards is 20, or it's 12. So 21 plus 12 is 33, which where the 33rd degree Masons get their 33. But also when you turn it on your side, it's M&M, like Mickey Mouse for Minneapolis. Mickey Mouse goes with a lot of other things too. I believe it has something to do with the Kingdom Hall 2 witness rules because it also presents as 2 W's on its side. Also, when the ark came to rest, if you subtract the 0, you get 6 1 upside down, 9 1 1, which is when 9/11 was sold, and this goes on and on and on. So, the Templar Masons did away with what was true and right in the Bible, the real story, sold us what they wanted us to know, so that we could all be controlled and owned. I'm just gonna tuck that in. And then they sold this symbology. I know it's shiny. Based on that, and which ours truly knew to tell me, was the symbology. It's the same thing. They use the same symbology. What it's based on is the Kabbalistic tree of life, and I was told that I would recognize it, and therefore the reason he gave his soul essence to tell me these things. I took the liberty of listening to. I'm kind of going to skip over to the investigation because I wanted to touch on a little bit of both. To show you guys how real this stuff is. It's very hard because I realize that the majority of the United States is going to be calling me, if they've ever read their Bible, like blasphemous or crazy or whatever. And like I said before, if you have a hard time understanding what I'm saying, would you have as hard of a time if I didn't say that creator was presented to me when I passed in 2010 as Prince Rogers Nelson? Like, is it wrong that he had an image that was sold as like the golden calf in the world? Because he's not like that. He's so much like partly that, but more than that. And even I don't grasp all of it, so I don't pretend to. But that's why I sold or shared the letter in the beginning, because again, it's important to me that you know that even before I knew that I was going to be saying what the world hears is Prince is God, then I just didn't know it. Okay. And my search for all things true stems from a long time ago. Again, my lovely books will show you the truth. So anyway, based on all that, I always hope to get people to listen to what I'm saying and to watch the other videos. When you go and you watch the Jim Olson PBS, if you Google or YouTube, whatever, Jim Olson, he talks about the investigation being only 29 hours old. What I wanted to mention was I went through that video the other day and I took notes. And one of the things that I noted was that they all, at the beginning, they come on and spell their names. Jim Olson spells his name. Jason Cameron spells his name. And then Weaver, Martha Weaver, whatever the heck her name is, the Emmy spokesperson, comes on and she says Weaver, Weav as in Victor, R. So she spells her name and says V as in Victor. Little things like that are how much I care. I pay attention to absolutely everything because there's a story to be heard and every single part is important. Jim Olson keeps referring to the fact that the investigation is only 29 hours old, which is 9 plus 2, which is 11, 9, 1, 1. They break it down. It's all coded. Just like I showed you guys the other day. Ooh. This investigation is an ICR number from the investigation. It's 1601. And then it has some more numbers down here. But as you look at the 1601, even that is upside down and coded. You see, it's all coded. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. Every single investigation in the file starts with 16, or there's a couple other ones like 2016, but they all have the 16. So anyway, everything, absolutely everything, has been told to me in a way that I keep struggling to come here and share it with you guys. And I giggle because I'm not afraid to embarrass myself and have my braid fall out and stuff like that. I prefer it not happen, but oh well. It's very serious, you guys. You know, was it 67.8? They said that the fentanyl in Prince's system was 67.8 mcgs per liter, whatever. 67.8 is 13.8, 21. Same thing. The paperwork that was faxed. They show on January 17th of 2017, but it's 1/17/17, which also equals 1777. The whole thing is encoded and laced the same way that the Bible is. And this, like, I don't sit here and decipher this myself. I've done some studies, but it is because the Creator speaks to me and lives with me and lets me know these things. And I come here to share them with you so that whether you've done biblical research or not, so that you can free your soul, so that you can understand the spooky electric digital haze, which has been put over the world with the Creator's permission. Why with the Creator's permission? To the best of my understanding, because this is just a trial run. Things are much harder in the afterworld. You guys, you're here to learn a lesson. You're here to learn, to seek truth, to seek knowledge. And I believe it's Genesis 3:6, where the lady discovers the tree of life knowledge or something. Don't let me get off subject. It's all about the knowledge, you guys. And I'm sharing every bit of it that I get with you. They don't want our DNA to be successful in the world. They don't, we were brought here and made genetically manipulated to be slaves, sex slaves, to carry the load while the sky gods were worshipped at, Gobekli Tepe, and the pyramids were, embedded with the genetic code, which, by the way, I wanted to touch on too, because everything matters. Paul Wallace, the fifth kind, I was listening to a program of his the other day, and he was talking about how, I'm not sure of all the details, but the genetic code that the sky people had input was found to be 9 sets of 37. I think it was like 9 sets of 37 DNA or something like that. Because look, again, a million times will say, I'm not trying to be a genius. I'm presenting to you what the truth is so that you can figure out what truth you want to, help you decide who your soul wants to be to get you to your ascension, your betterment. I'm not coming here to say, this is me, you listen to me. No, I'm pointing this out to you because it'll make sense to you. Anyway, 9 sets of 37. Do the math. We do the math. 37 times 9 is 333. 333 times 9 is 2997. If you take 2997, pardon me, and you add the 2 and the 9, somebody doesn't want me talking. Dust particles, I told you. 2 plus 9 is 11. 7 plus 9 is 16. So you get 1116. So if the strands of the DNA total out to 37 times 9, which is 333 times 9, which is 2997, which totals out to 1116, which is 9111, which is the same as when the ark landed in 8:13 of Genesis, and they were genetically embedded that way. Then that's why it goes together, and that's why we were told party like it's 1999, because this New Year's Eve, you guys, one more card and it's 22. It'll be 2022. My mouth is dry. My braids are now pigtails. I'm happy. I hope you're happy. It's like Alice in Wonderland, you guys, but once you open up your mind to hear the truth, that'll make much more sense to you probably than other things that you might have been told or sold. It's the whole EMC squared, you guys. It's Mickey Mouse. It's Minneapolis, Mickey Mouse, 33rd degree. It's all codes. And because I'm falling apart, I'm going to go. And thank you very much for watching. Please share these videos. They're very important. Like I said, going to be super important to the whole world. And look forward to seeing you guys soon. Love you.